Hey friends, Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. You know, when it comes to artistic expression, the Nissan Murano has always been sort of a standout in its class, as you can tell. And for 2015, in its third generation, that tradition continues. So, let's have a look.
Forgive my liberal references to art and design, but how can you not look at the 2015 Murano and not put it in that context? Nissan has always pushed the envelope with this model, but this one really takes it to a new level. The most prominent collection of details the roof line, which features what Nissan calls the floating roof, an element now seen also on the 2016 Maxima sedan. Here, a pronounced kick-up at the rear quarter panel and a wraparound glass look flow into an origami-like rear hatch and spoiler. The combination is complex yet almost organic. This artistic bent continues down the flanks with boldly contoured lines and generous helpings of chrome that almost take us to the 1950s era in how it's used. Its V-motion grille up front is just as brash, framed by equally eye-catching projector beam headlamps with LED daytime running lights built into the mix. While some might call the entire thing outlandish, I think it works pretty well, the best of the three generations. Inside, Nissan created a cabin also attention-getting. The combination of unique color and material stands out in the midsize crossover class, offering something, well, different than the rest. Our SL tester had the popular mocha leather along with silver patterned trims. The front seats, which Nissan calls zero gravity, are both power adjustable and heated, but not ventilated. They offer up plenty of adjustment range in a seating position which is more down in this vehicle than feeling of being on top of it. The dash layout has strong horizontal lines with attention to detail and material quality finish variation and a good feel to its switchgear. The steering wheel offered manual tilt and telescoping adjustments with plenty of controls for infotainment and instrument cluster features. That instrument cluster has a traditional 2-dial layout with a sizable 7-inch TFT center screen which can be custom set to display a wide variety of things from audio to navigation information to trip computer functions. The center stack was well laid out too, with the latest generation of Nissan's touchscreen infotainment system and Bose audio. It has some of the best menu layout and usability from the brand yet, all of the expected wired and wireless connectivity options, and excellent sound.
I really like what they've done with this interior. It's very pleasing to the eye, and it's got some materials that you don't typically find everywhere. And I'm talking about the trim here, like what's on the console, on the dash, and on the door panels. It's got sort of this wood grain look to it. It's very organic, but it also looks like it could be brushed aluminum. It's kind of a fusion of the two, and it's neither, oddly enough, but it looks very cool. Another nice thing is this pearlescent leather. It's got kind of a 1950s, 1960s vibe. They both go together very well, and the materials here are all pretty high quality to the touch. There is a curiosity though. It's what Nissan calls their zero gravity seats. Now, I've studied the materials and I still can't quite figure out what that means. I mean, I'm obviously not floating in midair, but they are very comfortable.
With driving aids like blind spot warning, rear cross traffic alert, and Nissan's cool around view monitor, the fact that Murano's design offers up a lot of blind spots is almost forgotten. And one thing missing at this price, I think, is a sunroof.
I'm sitting back here in what Nissan calls the Club Lounge. It's more marketing hoochie-coo, just like those zero-gravity seats, but it is kind of a nice place to be for a number of reasons, starting with the fact that there's plenty of space, as you can see. Legroom, headroom. The only thing I would say is that this does feel like I'm sitting down a little lower than I'd like in a crossover vehicle. My knees are sort of up, but not going to be a problem for everybody. These seat backs, they do recline, and there is a full down center armrest with cup holders. Now there's something else I want to point out here that I think is pretty cool. There's actually space right here for your smartphone if you're a rear seat passenger, and a place to plug it in and charge it. Now I point that out because not all competitors even have a USB port, let alone an extra one back here for your rear seat passengers.
The rear seats fold down pretty easily in a 60-40 split, giving a near-flat load floor and a pretty impressive cargo area. Under that cargo floor is a spare tire too, not a can of Fix-A-Flat like some competitors, and you'll also find the subwoofer for the Bose audio system tucked in there as well. Under the hood is the familiar VQ Series 3.5-liter dual overhead cam V6, which here offers up a mid-class 260 horsepower and 240 pound-feet of torque. A constantly variable transmission, or CVT, is the only option here as well.
This V6 engine, I think really the biggest thing it brings to the game here is the smooth, silky luxury feel that really sort of plays into this vehicle, because at 260 horsepower, while it's certainly no slouch, it really doesn't offer the kind of power you might get with some of the competitors' V6s that are pushing up into the 300 horsepower range. And with the CVT here, you don't really get that sort of enthusiastic feedback that you'd normally expect from a regular transmission. So this is really all about a nice, smooth, silky driving experience that, well, a four-cylinder could never even begin to offer.
It does run on regular fuel, however, and in our front-wheel drive tester has an EPA estimated 21 mpg city, 28 mpg highway, and 24 mpg combined. We achieved 23 mpg combined in our week with the Murano with the AC on at all times. The chassis of the Murano is also class average with a McPherson strut front suspension and a multi-link rear suspension out back. Electronic power steering and all the expected traction and stability controls come along for the ride as well.
When it comes to ride and handling, a lot of times I like to talk about how it handles the curves, how grippy it is, how it feels when you really push it hard. And I'm not really doing that today because, you know, back in theme, this is a vehicle that's really meant for somebody who wants a luxury car that's really all about cruising, and that it does quite well. It rides very quiet, it's got a very stable ride, and a relatively high quality feel to it. What's actually underneath this vehicle when it comes to hardware isn't really anything special. It's not to say it isn't good, it's the same type of chassis that you might find under a minivan or a car, a sedan. It's not really meant to be something that is going to appeal to a BMW enthusiast, but that said, it's very well polished. It does have a few rough spots when you go over rougher pavements, say under power. You get a little bit of jump and a little bit of torque steer from these front wheels, but that is part and parcel to a sport utility vehicle with front wheel drive.
When it comes to safety, the 2015 Nissan Murano tops the class with an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus rating. This comes by way of good ratings for their full battery of tests, including the brutal new small overlap test. The availability of advanced crash protection systems is also key to this rating.
Summing it up for the Nissan Murano, I gotta say I'm pretty impressed overall. It really does offer up a very unique package unlike anything else in the market, both in styling and comfort, as well as feature content. It just really has a lot going on. Now, as we look at the specs here, just under $38,000. We're not fully loaded. There's one more trim level up above this. Now, fuel economy, I got 23 for the week, which is a little bit less than what was promised on the sticker, but not a lot. Now, as we look at the stars, the different areas where I do sort of score it against its competitors, we came up pretty good on most counts. There were a few areas I wasn't completely impressed, like the CVT, but I'm just not a fan of those things. And the value quotient, even though there's a lot here for that price, I still think there are a few things missing too. But all in, we're at 4.5 stars for the week. Not bad at all. I'm Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. I hope you enjoyed the ride.
If you enjoyed our review, please click on the link on the screen to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on the Google, Twitter, and that Facebook by clicking on the links below in the information section.